Welcome to NRC, Central University of Kerala. Today we are going to discuss about the topic virtual classrooms. Virtual learning can be defined as the online learning environment which permits to have live interaction between the tutor and the learners to participate in the learning activities. The virtual classroom can also be defined as a shared online space where learners and teachers can work together at the same time. Usually, this type of instruction takes place through the technological gadgets such as video conferencing and teleconferencing. The participants will have some tool to present learning content in different format as well as to implement the collaborative group as well as individual activities. In this type of interaction, the teacher only has the more important role in which she or he acts as a guide, moderator and sole and solitary personality who supports the learner for the learning activities and discussion. Thus, virtual classroom can generally be defined as digital imitation of traditional classroom in which teacher teach and the learners learn in real time face to face. But the main difference between the traditional classroom and virtual classroom is mere the learning activities are taking place through technologically enhanced and technologically enabled environment. The normal classroom will have blackboard the same way virtual classroom contains whiteboard which has a scope for brainstorming, ideation and discussion as happen in the real time. The test is also an important component that must be considered in the teaching learning situations which is possible in the virtual learning environment. Advantages of virtual learning environment. Virtual classroom offers more flexibility rather than traditional classroom in which teacher can deliver the content to a geographically scattered audience at one point of time. Both instructors and learners can have rich experience of conglomerating learning from other teachers and learners all over the world. In education, online collaboration typically incorporates more communication tools such as the chat, open discussion, polls, multimedia content and social media, etc. Concept of virtual classroom. The virtual classroom environment may be web-based access through a particular portal or software and some downloadable and executable file. Like a real-world classroom, a student can participate in the synchronous instruction which happened in the virtual classroom also, which truly means that the teachers and students can log in to a virtual learning and run at same point of time. Virtual classrooms usually employ some different software often for multiple synchronous technologies such as web conferencing, video conferencing, live streaming and web-based voice over internet protocol to provide remote students with ability to collaborate in real time. Education process and its application also may be provided to the students with the asynchronous communication tools. Thus, the concept of virtual classroom is always combined with the tools, software and applications that are mandatory for making the learners and students lively and involved together in constructing a congruent element at any point of time. Components of virtual classroom. There are different components played a key role in setting out of virtual classroom. Definition. Virtual classroom is not restricted. Virtual classroom help both learners and teachers around the world to participate in the live classes, to collaborate and interact each other on particular context of learning. This online classroom allows participants to communicate with one another, view presentation or videos, interact with each other participant and engage with resources with different group. Non-restricting. Flexible learning is another important key feature which embedded in this element. Possibility to record the classes as it happens, including audio and video, which means that content can be accessed anytime and anywhere. In the condition when students did not understand at the first time, the virtual classroom can be repeated at any number of times irrespective of the geography of the learners and time. Practical and proven. Synchronous learning is a learning environment where every involved in learning process takes place in the activities same time. The traditional lecture is an example for the synchronous learning, which is used for quite long years ago. Online learning enables this type of experience out of convenient tools. Accessible. Virtual classroom is used to deliver lectures through Android tutorials even. This virtual classroom is of great option for spontaneous meeting among group of members and perform group projects. The group each need to check in progress and sharing the ideas of one another. As the name virtual implies, it is a class that integrates students and teachers together on a network using the internet or internet. Although they are physically away from each other, intellectually, socially and emotionally they are connected each other. How virtual classroom works? Virtual classroom is working based on web-based interactive programs which include both trainers and the learners. Virtual classroom works using audio and video conferencing tools that are easily configurable and also be used to show pre-recorded videos and CDs. Virtual classrooms have refined even today's e-learning environment as the students can interact with trainees as they can solve their problems instantly online. Although virtual classroom has become just like a chatting tool that is used by many people around the world, it has more and more advanced high learning solutions which are being designed every day as the heart of virtual learning. Virtual classroom surpass over conventional classroom in such a way that classroom can be recorded, played back verbatim by the learner. Just like the classroom has a blackboard, the virtual classroom also have a software tool called whiteboard which can be used to explain the queries and diagrams among the students. The other standard tools like presentation, image files, HTML files can also be uploaded on the whiteboard. So, if we have whiteboard already in our classroom, that particular classroom can automatically be considered to be a virtual classroom. Although the learner and teacher work together and they have connected each other by online, the virtual classroom is not exempted from the testing. Thus, virtual classroom need to incorporate many web tools for the assessment. Benefits of virtual classroom. Virtual classrooms save time unlike traditional learning process. This classroom required space and cost comparatively less in terms of the number of learners covered at a particular time. The learners and trainers can get trained together. Virtual classroom and other learning tools can save space and time in many fold. Virtual classroom can accommodate a large number of students within the same learning solutions at no extra cost. Virtual classroom learning is faster than an ideal choice of executive classes in the traditional classroom. The interaction between teachers and students also on par, even more like regular classes, but the recording and sharing of data, information and sessions are the additional feature of the virtual classroom. Storage of the whole process of learning through automatic repository creation, that is ARA, future reference is also possible through virtual classroom. Opportunities of virtual classroom. There are many opportunities on the part of virtual classroom, such as skills and process training of expert to the virtual physically distanced people. In the case of few experts only available in some specific field, it is not possible to bring them to a regular classroom, when virtual classroom is a real boon to bring such type of expertise directly to the classrooms. Virtual classrooms work better in the induction training with their standardized induction programs. When the organization or an institution has the members from the different spheres, the virtual classroom will really be useful for bringing all the members together. Characteristics of virtual classroom. The first one is mobile. Mobile ease of access and use allows our learners to have greater flexibility. They have learned audio and video through podcasting, mini quizzes and micro games that can be played even in leisure time, or the examples of mobile aspects of virtual learning. Collaborative. Since the teachers and learners work together in all segments of learning, it can be said that it is a collaborative nature. Moreover, the project used to practice in the virtual classrooms are also collaborative in nature. In general, virtual classroom gives due emphasis on sharing of content and context. Interactivity. In traditional learning, learners have to sit in a classroom and listen to a lecture and taking notes. But virtual classroom provide learners a greater liberty to engage with creative activities and for the course content to adapt and respond based on the inputs. Gamification in learning, flipped classrooms and scenario learning are the absolute examples of interactivity takes place in virtual classrooms. Omni-synchronous. Although virtual classroom have not the trainers and learners together, they are from different parts of the universe. The synchronous nature has got the term omni-synchronous. Besides, virtual classrooms are moving beyond a strictly synchronous way of communication format and incorporating real-time group discussion and private tutoring as well. Experimental. The creativity and innovation are the benchmarking of virtual classrooms. The motivating, enthralling and lively contents of virtual classroom would insist the experimental activities of the virtual classrooms. The emerging fields such as AR augmented reality and VR virtual reality have their own roots in the experiments of the virtual classrooms. History of virtual learning environment. The virtual classroom has its own history in the early 1700s, when the lessons were sent weekly to the interested audience through mail in US. University of Wisconsin first used the term distance education in the year 1892. Then the University of Houston started offering courses in 1953 on public television in the United States. The live telecasts were aired for 13 to 15 hours at each night so as to deliver to the working people also. In the year 1969, Defense Commission Department of US started switching the foundation network of Internet. In 1970, Havering computer managed learning system was developed in London, and over 100 teachers and over 10,000 students involved using it in 1984. Faculties and students at the University of Waterloo developed an application by using the network called IBM PCs. After some years, in the year 1985, Nova Southern University awarded certificates to the graduates through online courses. In the middle of 90s, the concept of personal computer raised. The distance learning seemed to cross the boundary of traditional education. University of Phoenix and Kaplan University offered 2-year accelerated bachelor degree program through virtual mode. Thus, these virtual learning industries have put forth enormous growth through wide use of smartphone, especially after the year 2001. Online education industries start lifting us to develop interest and curiosity on such type of learning. Next, we let move to the difference between traditional and virtual classroom. In traditional classroom, the teaching is limited to the classroom only, but in virtual classroom, teaching is boundless. Teachers will follow the same process for every student's batch. More work hours are spent on the repeated task. But in virtual classroom, major part of the process of teaching can be automated. Also, the students can go over the class recording to strengthen. In traditional classroom, the use of learning and teaching technologies is partial in the traditional classroom, but in virtual classroom, there is no limit on the amount of a source of technologies and the way that they can be used in an online classroom. In the traditional classroom, the finance related to the infrastructure, travel and learning material will be very high, but the finance related to infrastructure, travel and learning material will be low in the virtual classroom. Things necessary for setting of a virtual classroom: video conferencing, online whiteboard for real-time collaboration, instant messaging and participation control and breakout rooms are mandatorily be ensured for setting of a virtual classroom. Organization of virtual learning software. There are two options available for applying of software for the virtual classroom. The one is on-premise software option and the second one is cloud-based option software. The on-premise virtual classroom software, it can be installed and run on the premises of the organization which using the particular software. This type of software may or may not be licensed software, but it is considered as more secure than the publicly hosted software. The institutions which use the type of software have flexibility to create the functionality and customize the platform according to the need. However, customizability and investment of the resources, time and infrastructure that support the arrangement work must be approved by the institution. Cloud based. This type of software is an off-premise option known as SaaS software. This is a cloud-based software which is hosted in the cloud, and the institution can practically do not need anything in the site other than basic computing device, but the customization can only be done by the service provider with this cloud-based option. Virtual classroom software must have the following set of features: secure live streaming, server-side recording, advanced interactive whiteboard, advanced collaboration and moderation, live screen sharing, polls and surveys, collaborative code editor, easy administration, insights and analytics, API and plugging, high definition video conferencing. Let us summarize. Since the virtual classroom environment web based access through a particular portal or software and some downloadable and executable file, it is possible to make the normal classroom into a real world. Students also equally participating on par with the teacher in these classrooms. Since virtual classrooms usually employ different software, often for multiple synchronous technologies such as web conferencing, video conferencing, live streaming and web-based voice over internet protocol, the students can enjoy the real-time exposure in every classroom. It reaches invariably to the students without any geographical bound. The education process and its applications are being provided to the students with asynchronous communication tools. Thus, the concept of virtual classroom combined with web tools will serve better to the 21st century learning. Thank you.